Friendship Beyond Time. The Legend of Batu and Alaric. It was the late 300s BC. A Turkic tribe lived in the vast lands of Anatolia. Batu, a young warrior from this tribe, was well acquainted with the surrounding mountains, rivers, and forests. One day, while hunting through his tribe's sacred forest, he encountered an unexpected encounter. On the other side of the forest stood a tall, fair-skinned man wearing strange clothing. Batu realized this man looked nothing like his own tribe. The man was also examining him closely. This stranger was a Germanic warrior named Alaric, who had arrived from Central Europe around 3000 BC. Alaric had become estranged from his own tribe and was struggling to survive in his new lands. At first, both men were wary. Batu held his arrow at the ready, while Alaric reached for his sword. But both men's eyes held a look of curiosity and loneliness. After a few minutes of silence, Batu took the first step. "What are you doing in our lands?" Alaric replied, a little taken aback. I lost my way. I've strayed from my tribe. I don't want to fight. I just want to survive." At that moment, something changed. Batu saw the honesty and fear in Alaric's eyes. He lowered his arrow and gestured to Alaric. "Come, I can take you to your tribe's camp, but trust me, you must earn it." Alaric accepted with a small nod. Although the two strangers spoke different languages, they began to understand each other through body language and eye contact. While Batu and Alaric's friendship was initially built on survival, it soon evolved into learning each other's cultures and stories. Batu taught Alaric the traditions of the Turkic tribe, hunting, and living in harmony with nature. Alaric, in turn, told Batu's stories from distant lands, sharing warfare techniques, different foods, and his own tribe's rituals. One day, when a conflict arose between the tribes, Batu and Alaric were forced to act together. Alaric's strategic savvy and Batu's local knowledge protected them both from danger and ensured peace between the tribes. And so two people of different origins not only saved each other's lives, but also forged a friendship that enriched their respective worlds. As winter approached, the forest fell into a heavy silence. As Batu and Alaric patrolled the camp, they noticed smoke rising in the distance. Batu immediately recognized the smoke as coming from their tribe's lands. But this smoke wasn't a familiar fire. It was the harbinger of a distant attack. "Batu, we must go," Alaric said harshly. "Someone is calling for help." Batu tapped Alaric on the shoulder. "You're coming, aren't you? This will be our test." The two friends mounted their horses and rode toward the source of the smoke. They exchanged signals along the way. Batu knew the forest's paths and hidden trails, while Alaric planned tactics to surprise the enemy. When they reached the source of the smoke, they saw a small village under attack. About 10 armed attackers were threatening the villagers. Batu quickly devised a plan. "I will lead the villagers to safety. You come and attack from the rear. Surprise them." Alaric nodded silently and set the plan into motion. Batu led the villagers to a cave deep in the forest, while Alaric sneaked behind the enemy. The battle was short but intense. With Alaric's sword and Batu's arrows, the enemies retreated quickly. After the attackers fled, the villagers were safely under guard. The village leader's eyes welled up as he thanked Batu and Alaric. "The two of you together, it's like a miracle. It's an honor to know you both." That evening, as Batu and Alaric sat around the campfire, Alaric smiled. "Batu, I never thought I'd find a friend like you." Batu smiled back. And fighting alongside someone like you, sometimes fate has strange ways. From that day on, the two became not only friends, but also like brothers, trusting each other. But both knew that this forest and its surroundings held even greater secrets and dangers. The next morning, the forest was quiet, but the silence didn't reassure Batu and Alaric. The smoggy sky and strange shadows among the trees gave them a sense of unease they'd never experienced before. As Batu peered around intently, he suddenly felt the ground tremble. "Alaric, did you feel it?" he asked. Alaric frowned. "Yes, it can't just be the wind or an animal." After a while, a giant shadow emerged from the depths of the forest. Batu and Alaric's eyes widened. It belonged to a creature far larger than human size. The creature's eyes shone like enormous diamonds, shimmering with light, and it let out a strange growl. Batu whispered to Alaric, "This could be one of the forest spirits told of in ancient legends." Alaric slowly drew his arrow and readied his sword. "What are we going to do? Can we fight against it?" Batu took a deep breath. "Perhaps instead of fighting, we should try to understand. If it's not an enemy, if we harm it, we lose." They slowly moved toward the creature. Batu and Alaric's hearts were racing, but they both trusted each other. The creature watched them approach silently, then bowed its massive head and let out a mournful groan instead of a deep roar. Batu sat down gently on the ground and gestured to Alaric. "See? It's scared, isn't it? Is it trying to talk to us?" Alaric spoke softly. "Perhaps it's lost. Perhaps it needs our help." From that moment on, Batu and Alaric knew they would work together to unravel not only each other's secrets, but also the forest's. This encounter strengthened their friendship and courage into a much deeper bond. Batu and Alaric slowly approached the giant creature. Batu laid down his arrow and stood with his hands slightly outstretched. "We won't harm you," he said in his own language, but looking into Alaric's eyes. The forest spirit nodded slowly, then let out a long, deep groan. Batu interpreted the sound as a form of communication. "I think it wants to tell you something," Batu said. Alaric nodded. "Perhaps it's lost and wants to return to its own forest." They both formed a safe space around the creature. Batu gestured to Alaric. "I know some old paths. Perhaps we can lead it home." The forest spirit began to follow them, its massive body slowly coiling. Batu and Alaric followed the creature deeper into the forest. The trees and rocks along the path aligned as if guiding them. Batu pointed to a stream. "If we cross this stream, we will reach the sacred ground where the spirit resides. But we must be careful. This place is full of traps." Alaric readied his sword. "I will be with you, no matter what." When they reached the stream's edge, the forest spirit suddenly stopped and let out a deep growl. Batu listened intently, trying to understand. Then the creature bent its head toward the water and made signs with stones. Batu understood. This is its home, its sacred ground. Now it can be free. Alaric and Batu guided the forest spirit to its sacred ground. When the creature reached its sacred ground, it let out a deep groan, and the trees around it suddenly began to glow. A wave of energy enveloped the forest, and Batu and Alaric felt a sudden sense of peace and security. The forest spirit bowed its massive body slightly, lowered its head over the two friends, and then disappeared into the depths of the forest. Batu turned to Alaric. We did it, my friend. We saved not only our own lives, but a life as well. Alaric smiled. And we did it together. This friendship is true power. From that day on, Batu and Alaric became known as a legendary duo, acting together not only for their own tribes, but for the forest's secrets and protection. But both knew that this friendship and adventure were only the beginning of a journey fraught with even greater secrets and dangers. After returning the forest spirit to its safe haven, Batu and Alaric wandered together for some time in the depths of the forest. Now they were not just friends, but like brothers. They had weathered every danger together, enriching the world of two people of different origins. As time passed, the tribes and other surrounding communities began to hear of Batu and Alaric's courage and wisdom. They were not only warriors, but also symbols of peace and friendship. Despite their different cultures, they had forged a legendary friendship through shared values and mutual trust. One day, as the sun set at the edge of the forest, Batu looked at Alaric and smiled. "You know, my friend, we changed not only each other's lives, but also the fate of this land." Alaric nodded, "And we did it together. Different as we were, our greatest strength was our friendship." When the sun had completely set, the two friends dissolved into the silence of the forest. Their story has become a legend passed down from generation to generation, a proof that two people from different backgrounds, trusting each other and acting courageously, can change not only their own lives, but also the world. And so, Batu and Alaric's friendship became a legend that transcends time.